Alright, so let's fix the logic in our dividend calculator. But first, we can see that our dividend list has been squished a little bit together since we added the flexbox to this container. So I want to go to the dividend list module CSS, dividend list module CSS, and we'll increase that to 400 pixels. So that will make it a little bit wider again. Now let's head over to our dividend calculator. So what we want to do is we want to take the input of the input field and we want to put that into state. And whenever we type something into the input field, we want to put that into state, and then we're going to use that to calculate the projected dividend. So let's create a stateful component by adding useState from React, and then we'll say amount and set amount equals useState, and we'll give it a number. So the value here will be the amount if I can type it properly, and then the onChange function will take the event, and it will take the setAmount function, and we're going to set the target.value. So hit save on that. And then whenever we update this now, we are updating the state with the amount. So we'll give this a type of number. And then we need to plug some data into this dividend calculator. So we'll swap over to our dividend component, and we'll give the dividend calculator the stock.ask, and inside of the dividend calculator we will change this out with stock.ask. Sorry. We'll accept ask there, and we'll plug ask into here. So now, if we go back to our React application, then our ask is now coming from the data. Now, what we want to do is we want to see what happens when we change this. We want to multiply. We want to divide this amount on the ask, and then we get the amount of shares. So let's go ahead and go back to our component, and we'll say get amount of shares, and inside of our component we'll create that function. So make sure we assign a function to that variable, and then we'll say if amount is greater than 0, then we want to take the amount and we want to divide it on the ask, and we'll return the shares. So else will return 0. So let's go ahead and save, and we'll go back to our browser. And so right now our amount of shares is 0 and our amount is 0. But if we add 2,000, then we get 15 shares. So let's go ahead and add a 2 fixed on that and give that a amount of 2. And now what we want to do is we want to also go back to our dividend component, and we want to get the current year. And we want to retrieve the current year stock dividend. So let's go ahead and import this from our helpers file. And we'll say const current year dividend equals stock dividend current year. And we'll plug that into the dividend calculator. And now we need to take that value and destructure it from props. And inside of projected dividend, we want to go ahead and call a function that says calculate projected dividend. So let's go ahead and create that. And in here we want to get the shares, and we'll call on the get amount of shares function, and we want to multiply that. So we want to multiply these shares with the current year dividend, and we'll return the total, and we'll add 2 fixed and give that a 2 decimal points value. So we'll hit save on that, and we will go back to our browser, and we have a problem. So cannot read property. Alright, so the problem is that we misspelled the dividends. Oops. So fix that, hit save, and we go back to our application. And now let's see, if we buy shares for 1,000 kroners, the projected dividend will be 178. So let's see what happens if we buy for 20,000, then the projected dividend will be 3,565. So it looks like our calculator is working. And the next part we need to implement is this aggregated dividend section. So let's leave it there for now, and we'll go ahead and we'll tackle that in the next lesson.